GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, Montreal. I'm Lauren Dupuis. Tonight, the Borough Council approved a new McDonald's beside residential homes, sparking debate, while rain forced the IGA Stadium Omnium to cancel its sessions. Expect heavy traffic on the west side with several road closures. Your thoughts, Ryan?
A local couple started weekly meetups to unite Notre Dame de Grace neighbors, beginning earlier this week, with potluck meals, neighborhood walks, and shared garden projects.
The gatherings occur every Saturday morning at the community garden, encouraging residents to bring homemade dishes and stories.
Attendance has grown to around 20 participants, including families, seniors, and recent immigrants, fostering stronger local connections.
All right, let's get into it, starting with today's top headlines and the latest updates across Montreal. Good morning, Montreal. Rivière-des-Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles Council approved a McDonald's development adjacent to residential homes in the borough after a heated public meeting, reversing earlier strict conditions despite resident opposition. Denis Larivière has the full story.
Council members gathered Tuesday night in the Rivière-des-Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles Borough Hall, voting to clear the last hurdle for a new McDonald's that will sit directly behind a row of single-family homes. The decision overturns a set of strict conditions the council had imposed earlier this year, including limits on building height and a required green buffer. Those safeguards were lifted in a last-minute amendment, paving the way for the fast food chain to break ground next spring. Residents who have been holding protest signs and voicing concerns about traffic, noise, and the loss of neighborhood character said the council's reversal ignores their petitions. The borough now moves forward with the approval despite the ongoing opposition. Denis Larivière, GMNA News, Rivière-des-Prairies.
Yesterday, heavy rain made the state IGA track unsafe, prompting officials to cancel both the day and evening sessions of the Omnium Banque Nationale. Organizers announced the decision shortly before the scheduled start, citing slippery surfaces and the risk to riders. The multi-session cycling competition, a staple of the summer calendar, will not resume later this weekend, and no alternative dates have been set. Spectators who had purchased tickets were informed that refunds will be processed through the event's official website. Safety officials from the venue confirmed that drainage systems were overwhelmed, leaving the circuit hazardous for high-speed competition. Athletes and team staff were escorted off the course after the cancellation, and the venue remains closed while crews assess damage and prepare for potential future use. City Weather Services continue to monitor conditions, warning that further precipitation could affect upcoming events at the stadium.
Denis Shapovalov announced on Sunday that he will pause his schedule to recharge before his next appearance in Montreal. The Canadian star had just competed in a tournament final over the weekend, a grueling 3-set battle that left him exhausted. Rather than jump straight into his upcoming event, he said he intends to take a brief break, focusing on rest and light training to ensure he is at full strength for the Montreal match. His team confirmed the plan includes a few days of physiotherapy and low-intensity work, with travel set for later this week. His decision was welcomed by supporters who praised his commitment to health. Fans can expect to see Shapovalov back on court in Montreal after this short recovery period, aiming to build on the momentum from his recent final run.
Quebecer is fitting heat sensors under desks in its Quebec offices to gauge occupancy and optimize hybrid workspaces. The move reflects growing adoption of sensor tech among provincial employers. Denis Larivière has the full story.
Heat sensors are being slipped under desks across Quebecer's office sites in Quebec, giving the company a real-time read on which workstations are occupied. The devices register temperature changes when a person sits down, sending the data to a central system that maps desk usage throughout the day. Managers say the information will help them allocate space more efficiently as employees toggle between remote and on-site schedules. The rollout began early this week and will cover the majority of the firm's Quebec locations over the coming months. By tracking occupancy, Quebecer hopes to fine-tune its hybrid work model without relying on manual check-ins or reservation apps. Denis Larivière, GMNA News, Quebec.
At 4:29 this afternoon on Sunday, the municipality of St. Niall confirmed that a cyberattack infiltrated its drinking water treatment plant. Officials said a sophisticated Russian hacking group gained access to the facility's control systems, forcing staff to shut down operations while engineers worked to isolate the breach. No contamination was reported, and water service resumed after a temporary shutdown that lasted several hours, with normal pressure and quality checks restored. Provincial cyber security experts have been dispatched to assess the damage and bolster defenses, and the province's Cyber Security Center has warned that similar attacks could recur, urging all small towns to review digital safeguards. This incident follows a series of alerts after foreign actors targeted water infrastructure across Quebec, prompting heightened vigilance among municipal utilities. The mayor urged residents to stay informed while authorities continue investigations into the source and scope of the intrusion. Later, we'll see why Quebec sent 60 firefighters to British Columbia's wildfires and how that impacts our province. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Good morning, Montreals. Yesterday, the Provincial Forest Fire Service, SOPFEU, dispatched 60 firefighters from Quebec to British Columbia to aid in battling the province's raging forest fires. The team joins a multi-agency effort as British Columbia contends with dozens of active blazes across its interior. Meanwhile, Quebec officials say the fire situation at home is stabilizing even though there are still 110 active fires across the province. SOPFEU's decision follows a request from British Columbia authorities for additional resources to protect communities and critical infrastructure. The Quebec crew, experienced in high-intensity wildfire suppression, will operate alongside local crews for the duration of the emergency. Provincial leaders emphasize that the deployment underscores inter-provincial cooperation in the face of escalating fire conditions across Western Canada. The move marks the largest provincial contribution of personnel to the Western fire fight. The operation remains underway as provinces monitor weather patterns that could influence fire behavior.
Quebec's 811 health hotline is experiencing record long wait times, with callers waiting significantly longer for non-emergency medical advice across the province. The surge began this week. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Calls to Quebec's 811 health hotline are now meeting record long hold times, officials say, as demand spikes across the province. Callers seeking non-emergency medical advice are hearing waiting periods measured in minutes that far exceed typical service levels. The Provincial Health Ministry confirmed that the surge began in early summer, with the longest delays reported on August 2, 2026. Staff are working to add extra operators, but the volume of inquiries has outpaced the current capacity. Health professionals advise residents to use online resources for routine questions while the phone line remains congested. The 811 service, launched in 2012, was meant to divert non-urgent calls from emergency rooms. Officials say they are reviewing staffing and testing callback options to ease backlog. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Julien Frascador, a rising star in Canadian judo, was named Canada's flag bearer for the closing ceremony of the Glasgow Commonwealth Games yesterday. The honor places him at the front of the Canadian delegation as athletes gather to celebrate the final night of competition. Frascador joins sprinter Marissa Papaconstantinou, who has already captured attention with her performances on the track, highlighting the breadth of talent representing the nation. The closing ceremony in Glasgow will feature a parade of flags, with Frascador leading the Canadian contingent in a moment that recognizes his achievements and dedication to the sport. Officials said the selection reflects his contributions throughout the Games and his role as an ambassador for Canadian sport on the world stage. The Games, which run through next week, have already yielded medals in judo and athletics, highlighting Canada's strong showing.
The Quebec government officially designated Montreal's Olympic Park and the 1976 Summer Games as a historic place and event on Saturday, marking the 50th anniversary of the Games. The designation, announced by the province's Heritage Ministry, recognizes the iconic stadium, the surrounding facilities, and the legacy of the event that put the city on the world stage. Officials said the move highlights the architectural and cultural importance of the park, from the towering biosphere to the athletes' village, and aims to preserve them for future generations. Heritage experts will now work with the city to develop conservation plans and promote educational programs about the 1976 Olympics. The historic status also opens up new funding avenues for restoration projects across the site, ensuring the Olympic legacy remains a vibrant part of the island's landscape.
A local couple in Notre Dame de Grace has launched a weekly gathering to bring neighbors together, responding to growing feelings of isolation in the community. Jose Cartier has the full story.
On a sunny Saturday morning in Notre Dame de Grace, a local couple opened their modest backyard to a handful of curious neighbors. They've begun hosting a weekly gathering every Saturday at 4 o'clock, inviting anyone from the block to share coffee, conversation, and a game of pétanque. The idea grew out of a feeling that the tight-knit neighborhood had become fragmented, with many residents admitting they rarely saw one another beyond brief hallway greetings. Organizers hope the informal setting will break down those barriers, encouraging people to exchange phone numbers, swap recipes, and simply enjoy each other's company. So far, attendance has risen steadily, with families, retirees, and young professionals all turning up to reconnect with their community. Jose Cartier, GMNA News, Notre Dame de Grace.
Let's get a look at your morning forecast with our weather team today.
A southerly jet stream and falling low pressure are loading the city with early morning rain bands. On this date, the all-time high reached 31.1 degrees Celsius in 2024, set during a late summer heat wave that pushed the province into record territory. The record low of 12.7 degrees Celsius fell in 2022, a surprise chill that arrived with an Arctic dip far south of its usual reach. By contrast, the climatological average for today hovers around a high of 26 and a low of 18 degrees, underscoring how today's temperatures sit comfortably between the extremes. The live radar paints a swath of moderate precipitation beginning just east of the city at 9 a.m., with the heaviest band hugging the Montreal corridor. Guided by the southerly jet stream, the rain pushes northwest, brushing the island by 10 a.m. and trailing eastward through the afternoon. By 8 p.m., the echoes fade, leaving a clear sky overhead. With the system moving out, I turn now to today's outlook. At 7 a.m., the sky is overcast, temperature 21 degrees, humidity 87%, and a gentle southeast wind at 12 kilometers per hour gusting to 24. A low-pressure center is falling, drawing warm, moist air northward, while the jet stream overhead streams at 140 kilometers per hour from the south, accelerating the incoming moisture. Light showers will arrive around 9, peaking early before tapering off by noon. Temperatures will climb to a high of 28, then dip to a low of 21 after sunset. The UV index reads 4. Winds will stay modest, peaking at 17 kilometers per hour from the southeast. A rainfall warning remains active for the Saint Adèle, Saint Sauveur area. Remain alert to localized downpours. With the rain band moving out, we now shift to the extended picture. Monday brings a cooler start with a high of 24 and a low of 16 degrees, accompanied by light rain and a 60% chance of showers as the lingering low pressure drifts eastward. Tuesday clears dramatically, high 25 and low 16 under a bright sky as high pressure builds from the west. Wednesday stays warm and dry, high 28, low 18, as the jet stream arches north, keeping the air mass stable. Thursday reverts to overcast conditions, high 26, low 20, with a modest 25% chance of rain as a weak frontal wave nudges the region. Friday sees another overcast stretch, high 27, low 21, and a 50% chance of rain as the next system approaches from the northwest. The week swings between brief rain windows and clear, warm intervals, offering a dynamic pattern for the coming days. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Heavy traffic ahead. Can Rickard Rakel spark the Habs and Nuram's tragic arson today? Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Route 136 eastbound is closed at Exit 3 in downtown, affecting Guy Street until August 3rd through 6th. Drivers heading downtown should reroute onto St. Laurent and use the southbound collector to reach the downtown core. Boulevard de l'Acadie access to the 40 Metropolitan East is also shut, forcing traffic onto Rue St. Laurent and the nearby highway entrance at Descaries. Truck traffic is prohibited on the Honoré-Mercier Bridge, so commercial vehicles must use the Champlain Bridge instead. Ongoing lane reductions add to the slowdown. Boulevard Lacordaire over the 40 runs a single lane each direction, and Rue Saint-Urbain over Autoroute Ville-Marie is down to one lane as well too. Expect queues of at least 15 minutes on those corridors. Aside from these hotspots, most other routes remain clear, and transit runs on schedule this morning. Plan for extra travel time this morning, and again this afternoon, as commuters head back into the city.
The calendar is quiet today, but stay tuned for a weekend packed with music, food, and community celebrations across the city. And now here's Tyler with sports.
The Canadiens' off-season is anything but quiet. Here's why. The Montreal Canadiens front office is weighing Rickard Rakell as a potential short-term addition, with the bigger picture being prospect Michael Hade's eventual arrival. That is a calculated bridge move, bringing in a veteran to hold the line while the organization's future works its way up the depth chart. Jacob Dobish is back in Montreal, and he is not mincing words. The goaltender says he has 4 years ahead of him dedicated to one goal, winning the Stanley Cup. That is exactly the kind of declared commitment a fanbase wants from its crease, and it signals a goaltender locked in on the rebuild's endgame. It is only August, and the Canadiens' brain trust is already mapping the 2027 NHL draft, with analysts identifying 3 prospects Montreal could target. This organization is building in layers, and the fact the conversation has already shifted a full draft cycle ahead tells you exactly how patient and deliberate this front office is operating.
Nurem, the kosher restaurant in Côte des Neiges, Notre Dame de Glace, suffered a devastating blow. Late Thursday night, a fierce blaze gutted the kitchen and charred the dining room. Police are treating it as possible arson, and the community is rallying around the owners as they assess the damage. For years, Nurem has been a safe haven for families celebrating Shabbat and a meeting spot for students and neighbors over falafel and fresh-baked challah. Its loss would shake the cultural fabric of a neighborhood built on shared meals. Local volunteers have already launched a fundraiser, and city officials pledged to fast-track any permits needed for a quick rebuild. We'll watch Nurem's recovery, because when this corner of Côte des Neiges rises again, the whole borough feels the warmth. Up next, a bite-sized warning after a Montreal picnic-goer was bitten by a tick in La Fontaine Park. Stay with us.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From city hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMNA for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
Good morning, Montreals. A Montreal resident was bitten by a tick while picnicking in La Fontaine Park on August 2nd, prompting health officials to remind the public about preventive measures. Marion Catay has the full story.
After a family picnic in La Fontaine Park on Tuesday, a local resident discovered a tick attached to their skin. The bite occurred while the group was enjoying the park's shaded trails and open lawns. Health officials say the insect likely attached during a brief walk between blankets, and remind that ticks thrive in the park's grassy areas and leaf litter. The resident promptly removed the tick and sought advice from a nearby clinic, where doctors recommended monitoring for any symptoms and a follow-up appointment. While most bites cause only mild irritation, the precautionary steps aim to prevent potential illness. The incident adds to the seasonal reminders about tick awareness in Montreal's urban green spaces. Marion Catay, GMNA News, La Fontaine Park.
The Quebec French dubbing of The Simpsons has resumed production in Montreal this summer after a threatened shutdown, keeping the long-running series alive for local viewers. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Production on the Quebec French version of The Simpsons has kicked back into gear this summer, with voice actors gathering in Montreal studios to record new episodes. The series, long a staple on Quebec screens, faced the prospect of losing its local dub earlier this year, prompting concerns among fans and creators alike. The dub, aired nightly across the province, had been on the brink of being shut down, making the restart a relief for Quebec's animation audience. After months of negotiations and planning, the studio secured funding and talent, allowing the team to resume work before the season's usual fall rollout. The renewed effort ensures the familiar Quebec accent will continue to accompany the show's iconic jokes for viewers across the province. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the local sunrise. From the historic designation of the Olympic Park to the brave firefighters heading to British Columbia, your city's stories keep us inspired. We'll be back tomorrow with more news that matters to you. See you then.